Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Kivette Cleveland and welcome to my YouTube channel. I've already put the cart before the horse and the fact that I've been detailing some of my journey with stage 3 breast cancer. So I'm going to give you a condensed version of where we stand now and how we started. So before the diagnosis, just to give you, like I said, a precursor, in 2018, I was experiencing some discomfort in my breast. And for the females who joined in, it felt somewhat like growing pains when you initially get breast. Nothing significant, nothing really painful, just a level of discomfort that I hadn't been feeling before. So I went in to get my annual mammogram, and I was told that I had dense breast tissue and cysts. I was given some corrective measures, which didn't include surgery. It was just some things to switch up as far as my intake, reducing caffeine, drinking more water, staying more hydrated, more greenery, things of that nature, just the run of the mill. Well, fast forward, we're in 2019. The end of 2019, December of 2019, I started experiencing the discomfort again. And this time it was more significant, much more significant. And in my mind, I'm thinking it is associated with the cysts, either that, dense breast tissue, whatever the case may be. I'm not thinking that's anything major. So by the beginning of 2020, it was waking me up in the middle of the night because it had gotten so significant till I had noticed that there was now some dimpling in my breast, by the breast tissue, by the nipple. And it was waking me up in the middle of the night, feeling like someone was literally taking an ice pick and stabbing me from the inside of my breast, through my nipple, and like ripping my breast apart. So I contacted my doctor and explained what was going on, and they scheduled another mammogram. Go in for this mammogram. By this time, there's still the discomfort, there's still the pain, and now, unlike 2018, there is the dimpling. So this is the beginning of February of 2020. I have the mammogram, and a week after having the mammogram, I received a letter in the mail stating that they didn't find anything. There was no need for any other follow-up or additional testing or imaging to be done. There just simply was nothing. And at this point, it wasn't even detailed enough to go into the dense breast tissue, nor did it discuss any cyst. So I go back to basically what I've been trained to do, and the measures that I was given in 2018 to alleviate it. I said, okay, we'll start this all over again. More water, less caffeine, more hydrated, more greenery, so on and so forth, the whole 9 yards. Well, as time goes on, it's not as significant, but periodically I'm still experiencing pain, and now there's the dimpling. So in 2021, I go in for basically to have a complete body physical, full panels, work up on everything to see basically where I am with every level. They're taking a look at, basically how I've been doing with my hypertension. I'm no longer on cholesterol medication. My numbers look good there. Being pre-diabetic, just taking a look at every single thing. Before, I had been anemic when I had hysterectomy back in 2017. So I wanted to make sure that basically everything was fine. Anyway, while I'm there, I feel comfortable enough with my primary care physician to ask her to do a breast exam because I'm still experiencing a level of discomfort, not like before, but I'm not feeling a lump. And I'm not remotely thinking about cancer because no one in my family has cancer, had ever had cancer. So I'm thinking, okay, this is just, once again, the cyst. But I wanted her to check because I wanted to make certain that I wasn't missing something or not feeling something or not pressing hard enough or not, just making certain that what I was doing was correct. So she did the breast exam. She noticed the dimpling. But she said she couldn't find a lump. She ended the consultation with basically saying that caffeine could cause the discomfort, which I already knew, and that it could possibly be cellulite when it came to the appearance of my breast, which I thought was odd. I had never heard that before, but hey, once again, I'm not the medical professional. Well, that was 2021. 2022, I scheduled a pap smear with my OBGYN. So because I've had a hysterectomy, I don't have a routine pap smear. But when I went in, while I was there, I was going to ask him to schedule my mammogram. But before I did that, I wanted to cover with him the scenarios that I had had since 2018 with either the dense breast tissue, getting a better understanding of it, the fact that I had cysts, what could be causing it. Maybe there's something that we need to do additional because something at this point that has gone on from 2018 to 2022, needless to say, we need to do something different because the more water, the greenery, cutting back on caffeine, it's not working. I need something different. So after we finished the pap smear, I lean up, I'm sitting on the table, and I still have on my gown. I have on my gown, and he asked me to open up my gown. I open up my gown, and as I open up my gown, he steps back. And then he looks at his nurse, and he asked her to order a diagnostic. So in my mind, I'm thinking that's just, a regular mammogram. So he did an exam. He didn't find any lumps. Then we talked in detail about the things that I had been experiencing. Well, I knew something was odd or different with the way that he looked at me that day, but I didn't know what to attribute it to or to even think about it. So I just really kind of overlooked it. And I'm thinking to myself, hell, it was a shock for me to see, so I'm pretty certain it was a shock for him too. So he schedules a mammogram for me the following Monday. I get to the location, I do the mammogram, I'm getting ready to get dressed. The nurse comes back in and says that the doctor would like to see you to do an ultrasound. Can you stay? And I said, sure. Well, I normally record my doctor visits so that I can articulately explain anything that's going on that I don't understand or don't recognize the terminology for. But I didn't do this that day. I get there and they lay me on the table and she begins to do the ultrasound. Well, needless to say, she's using a lot of terminology that I'm not familiar with. But then she starts referring to measurements and she starts saying words like mass, tumor, lymph node, it's spread, there's inflammation. Let me get the measurement of this one as if there are multiple. And in the process of that, she's explaining to her nurse that she wants to do a biopsy to rule out cancer. So immediately a tear drops. So I'm kind of freaking out at this point because I'm not recording it. I didn't even bring my husband with me this day because this is just routine. Nothing's gonna come of this because there's no cancer in my family. So by the end of it, I asked her, could she repeat everything that she basically had said, because I had kind of zoned out and I wanted to be able to relay what was going on to my family once I got home. And she said, everything that I've discussed with you, I'm actually going to give you a printout of for you and your family to review so you understand what's going on. So I said, okay. So they take me to another office. I go to this office and I'm sitting in this office and they're trying to schedule a biopsy for me that week. Well, unfortunately, they're booked. They can't get me in any day. So the nurse leaves out of the office. She goes and gets another nurse. This nurse comes back and she apologizes, for the delay, having me wait for so long. They're not going to be able to do the biopsy at that location. They're going to refer me to an affiliate of theirs because I need to get it done right away. So I'm like, okay. So she says, we're going to schedule it for the following Monday. Okay, cool. So in the interim, I have this printout of basically everything that she says. And this is, I don't know. I can't even read it. I didn't want to read it. But at the very end of the printout, what I did understand and what affected me the most was the last sentence, which said, and I'll paraphrase, malignancy, 95% likelihood. And for some reason, I don't know. That sentence those two things, the malignancy and the 95%, like it just grabbed a hold of me and I could not let those two things go. The 95%. So I'm thinking to myself, so if this is what she's thinking and this is why we're doing a biopsy, 95%, maybe, with me just coming in with this, I could see 20, I give you 35, maybe 50, but 95%. So I get ready to leave there. I call my husband and I tell him what's going on. And by this time, it just consumed me. It consumed me, but I couldn't let my family know. But I had already decided at this point and at this percentage, I have it. It's malignant. So I said, I'm gonna put it to the side. I can't have the biopsy until Monday. I'm gonna try not to worry about it. Once again, I believed it, but there's still that ounce of hope with me saying, this doesn't run in my family. It can't be. This is not the possibility for me. So that Monday comes and I get to my next appointment. So my husband is recording because I have to go back and explain this to my family so they fully understand what's going on, because I couldn't do it the previous Monday because I really just had kind of zoned out. But he's recording and I have this notebook with all of these questions that I'm going to ask her, because now at this point, I need some understanding of what's going on. It's been going on for too long. What is this mass? Is there a tumor? Just help me understand, break it down, give me a Cancer for Dummies lecture. So we walk into the office and she comes in just as pleasant as she can possibly be, very nice to myself and my husband. And she explains the findings from the ultrasound. And after she explains the findings, she's telling me that she's going to do the biopsy, and the purpose of the biopsy, they're going to extract the cells and be able to determine definitively whether or not it's malignant or benign. And at this point, I'm not in my emotions. I'm good to go. I'm getting ready to stand up because I'm thinking, okay, let's go to the room, or if it's going to be in this room, I'll go ahead and start getting undressed and let's go ahead and knock this out. So she says, but Ms. Cleveland, I just want you to know that based on my experience, she said, this is just my sheer experience. She says, I haven't even touched you to confirm anything or to do any type of testing. She said, but based on my experience, that the findings that we received so far from your ultrasound. I've never had anybody walk into my office and have a mass as large as yours and it not be cancer. So I turned to my husband and I feel the tear. I don't feel like I'm crying, but I kind of see the tear come down the side of my eye. And he refuses to look at me. And I think he refuses to look at me because he doesn't want me to break down. He doesn't want me to get emotional because he knows at this point it's still no confirmation. So I turn back, I look at her, and then I look down at this notebook with this list. And all the questions that I had prepared, I was going to basically cover, as they say, from the rooter to the tutor. You going to give me a crash course on cancer. I look at all of these questions, and the only thing that I could think to say when I lifted my head back up was, ma'am, I have children. I have children. They are grown, but they are not grown, and they are not prepared for me to leave this earth. And she said, we're not going to worry about that right now because you're not going anywhere. She said, we're going to do the biopsy, and I'll have the biopsy back within 48 hours, and we'll take it from there. She said, but what I'm going to do is give you some referrals, and I need you to contact these medical oncologists and choose one and schedule an appointment. And I'm going to bring you back here on Tuesday of the following week. So I'm hearing it, but I'm not hearing it. So we do the biopsy. And before I get ready to leave, her nurse says to me, we're going to be best friends for the next 5 years. So I laugh, we chuckle a little bit, and my husband and I leave. So Wednesday comes, it's time for me to get the results. The night before, I could not sleep at all. I mean, I was a nervous wreck. So when 8 o'clock came, I kept telling myself I'm going to give them a cutoff time frame to call me and give me the results. Well, 10 o'clock came, and that was my cutoff in my mind. 10 o'clock came, but I couldn't muster up enough courage to call them. I couldn't get the news. I just couldn't do it. So then I said 11 o'clock. I'm going to call it 11. 11 o'clock came and went. I couldn't call. So then in my mind, I'm saying, okay, they're going to go to lunch from 12 to 1. I'm going to call at 1:05. 1 o'clock got here, and I literally watched the clock until 1:05. Still couldn't call. Then I said 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock came. Same old Quebec. Not willing to do it. And it just so happens that I was reading something, and whatever it was, it made me laugh. It made me laugh, and in the process of laughing, I wasn't anxious anymore. I didn't feel dread. So I picked up the phone at 2:06, and I called. And when I called, I got the nurse. I told her who I was, gave her my date of birth. I told her why I was calling, because I needed to get some results. So she said, give me a second, and I'll be right back with you. So she had me on hold briefly. She came back to the phone and she says, the doctor's going to call you. So I said, okay. Now, 2 minutes later, the doctor calls and she says, Miss Cleveland, our suspicions have been confirmed. It's malignant. You have cancer. So I'm hearing it. I've already accepted it. So I can't say that I'm not emotional, but I'm not crying. I'm not a nervous wreck. Nothing like that. And she says, we've already scheduled an appointment for you to come back after the 4th of July holiday. So I need you here Tuesday morning, bright and early. And I said, okay. She said, but you have to promise me something. And I said, okay, sure. What is it? At this point, it is what it is. So she said, you have to promise me something. And I said, okay, sure. What is it? She said, when you come back, you have to come back prepared to fight. And just the floodgates let loose. And I said, I will. So I hung up with her and I called my family and I told them what was going on. So I say all of that to say this. There's a colloquialism that everyone uses that when a person shows you who they are, believe them. And it pertained to me in the fact that not only did my body tell me with the pain, it showed me with the deformity and the retraction in my breast. And I chose to take what my body was telling me and showing me and dismiss it based on a machine and an opinion. A machine and a piece of paper told me there was nothing. A person told me that it could be caffeine or cellulite. Be a good advocate for yourself. Don't count on a machine or a person to be there for you. Be a good advocate for yourself. When you know something is not right, when you feel that something is not right, get to the bottom of it. Find someone who will understand. Find someone who will listen. Find someone who will take the time to get to the bottom of whatever you are experiencing. You have to be an advocate for yourself. And this is the reason why I have chosen to start this YouTube channel. It's because many times we take our insecurities or lack of knowledge and trust in someone else because of an educated guess, a hypothesis at times, or a flaw at times, or inconsistencies that don't necessarily get to the bottom of what you are dealing with and experiencing. So when you know something is wrong, please do your due diligence. Do your due diligence to find out what is your body saying. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done had I been at stage 4. I don't know what I would have done if it wouldn't have been for God's grace leading me to an OBGYN whose wife had just come through breast cancer and was in remission. And he recognized something is not right. Something is not right, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it together. We're going to figure out what is going on with you. Do your due diligence. Be a better advocate for yourself. Find someone in your journey who will help you determine what's going on in your own body. With that being said, I thank you all for being on this journey with me. I thank you all for the calls, the texts, the continued support, the prayers. Oh my God. I mean, it's so uplifting. I've been able to stay encouraged throughout this process with the support I've been given. And I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. My family thanks you from the bottom of their heart. So with that being said, I hope that you all subscribe. I hope that you all subscribe to my YouTube channel and that you follow along with me on this journey as we kick cancer's ass.